This conference will now be recorded.
All right, it is now 7 p.m. on Tuesday, July 2nd, 2024. And I call this regular meeting of council to order here at the East Beaches Social Scene in Victoria Beach. I respectfully acknowledge that we are in Treaty 1 territory, traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, Cree, Annisinaabeg Nations, Dakota, Assiniboine, and Dene people, and the homeland of the Red River Métis. We respect the treaties that were made on these territories, and we acknowledge the harms and mistakes of the past, and we dedicate ourselves to moving forward in partnership with Indigenous and Métis communities in a spirit of reconciliation and collaboration. Thank you to Frank at the East Beaches Social Scene for setup and coffee or water, and for disassembling our meetings and rushing us out the door when he wants to go home. All right. Besides all that, I will move to introductions around the table, and I will start on my far left.
Steve Exley. Lon Turner.
Penny McMorris, Mayor.
Erwin Koepke, Councillor. Ian Jackson.
I'm sorry, I'm Randall, Councillor. Go ahead, Ian.
We got you.
He's excited.
Graham's excited, yes, and Graham's coming to us from beautiful downtown Winnipeg, or Winnipeg anyway. Thank you. All right. So first up, be it resolved, the agenda be adopted as presented. May I have a mover, please? Erwin, thank you. Ian, second. Thank you. There is an addition, and we would like to table one matter.
Our lonely resolution there at the bottom of your new business, I would request that we table that. I just got the financial statements this morning, which isn't ample time to review them, and council never even saw them yet, so we're going to take it. I just asked council to table that for the next meeting. The 2023 audited financial statements.
I saw that. I was wondering, I didn't see anything either.
Yeah, I just got them this morning, so. And then I'd like to add to, my recommendation to council is because of the fire hall, the new fire hall construction and purchase of a new fire truck and the renovations that are running, it's a fairly large project. I would recommend that council create a subcommittee for this, 2 or 3 councillors possibly, just to lead and do all the groundwork and the digging and the facts and that stuff to make recommendations to council on big decisions.
So we'll add that to the agenda. Any other additions, gentlemen? Graham?
Nope.
All right, hearing none. All those in favor of the agenda?
Aye.
Carried. Thank you. All right. We will move on to the minutes of the June 18th, 2024 regular meeting of council. Be it resolved, the minutes of the June 18th, 2024 regular council meeting be adopted as presented. May I have a mover? Steve, thank you. Second, Ian, thank you. Any comments, concerns, gentlemen? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Carried. Thank you. And I can see the other guys on the screen, so thank you. All right, we move on. Accounts and finances. Be it resolved, the following list of accounts be approved for payment. Checks number 12379 to 12420 in the amount of $132,496.34. Wire transfer in the amount of $297,675 for a total amount of $430,171.34. May I have a mover? Ian, thank you. Second? Steve, thank you. Sorry, Graham. I'll get you next time. Any comments on the accounts?
Yes, as you mentioned, it's sort of a large number for that last month. The $297,675 was for the purchase of a garbage truck, which was shipped out for about $8,000. There were 41 checks in total for about $132,496. 27,000 of that was for the receiver general. ClearTech water system is about $7,000. We had an engineer, review King Edward and Connaught Beach for $5,000. And then we had Grant Currian Trucking, and it said brush pile. I was just wondering, what's that?
He's the chipper. He comes in and chips the huge pile.
So that's $14,600. And then to maintain the roads and lay down some gravel, that was under $4,387.
Okay, thank you. Any Any comments, gentlemen?
Just a question to Lon, will we be receiving a copy of the engineering report on the sand situation?
Yeah, I have them already. They did the topical surveys for both beaches. I have them. I was gonna ask you what you want to do with them, if you want to keep them on file or put them on the website or whatever. But we do have them.
Well, perhaps council should take a look at them first and then decide.
Yep.
I see no reason why they shouldn't go up on the website.
I think they'd be good for the committee as well,
Yes, of course.
shoreline committee. Sorry, Graham, go ahead. You had a comment, Graham? Sorry.
No, I was just agreeing with Erwin after council has reviewed the engineer reports. It would certainly be appropriate to make sure that our new shoreline advisory committee has that information.
Okay, any further discussion? All right, all those in favor? Carried. Thank you. All right, we'll move on to business arising from the previous meetings. The zoning bylaw status, a never-ending zoning bylaw. We're still waiting to hear back from our planner on some resident queries regarding provincial jurisdiction and regulations on private lands. I don't know if you've had a chance to catch up with Andre at Landmark.
The latest, the one that's holding us back, and we're waiting to hear back from the province, is just a very clear definition on the riparian area around the shoreline. There's just a lot going on that he wants to hear back from the province on before he gets it ready for first reading.
All right, let's hope we can get this done at the next council meeting or at least early August.
I think it's important to get clarification because not only does it affect the zoning bylaw, but it could have a significant impact on the shoreline advisory committee, depending on where they define, how they define riparian.
Steve, sorry, and then Ian.
Yeah, I just want to say, like, just to be fundamentally clear, everything that we've been doing up until now, we've been in consultation with the provinces and all, the province and all different organizations that have input in shoreline matters and riparian matters. It's just more clarification. So I just don't want anybody to get their hopes up thinking, oh, this is going to change everything, when it's really just ensuring that, you know, all the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted.
Ian, did you have one?
I just had a question. As far as the shoreline and people that live on the lake, when we pass the bylaw, or is the province changing the rules as far as the distance that you can have from the water's edge to where you build your house versus now versus once we pass this bylaw?
No, that's not my understanding.
Okay, because I've had a few calls from different people, and they're trying to explain that to me that way, and I just don't know the facts. So they're suggesting that things are going to change, and the amount of distance from the edge of the water line going back is going to be even greater. And again, I don't know the details.
Well, let's wait and hear back what the province, for the province to confirm or clarify. Steve?
I was only going to say that the distances are pretty clear inside of the proposed bylaw itself, which is on the website, so everybody can go take a look at it if they want.
All right, okay, thank you very much. Shoreline Advisory Committee update. Councillor Konka is leading that charge. Do you have any?
Just a quick update, we have not yet had an opportunity to meet. One of our members just returned from Europe, so glad to see you, Ron. But we will be moving ahead on that quickly and get things organized.
Okay.
I had some visitors that came from Brazil, so I was kind of busy with them.
Okay. All right, thank you very much. All right, we'll move on to EV chargers in the parking lot, which is on the agenda. And I do have to say, I was very surprised to see a letter written by you posted on the BBCOA Facebook page. I'm not sure that it's appropriate, but nevertheless, it's been done. I just want to clarify a few things, Steve. Council has been proactive with installation of 2 level 2 chargers. We are now going to replace those with pay-as-you-go, as you know. They should be in sometime this week. You state in your letter to the public that the EV chargers will have little impact on the taxpayer as possible. But the quote from a local electric firm in February 2024, was approximately $70,857.95 plus PST and GST. $46,800 was for electrical and $24,000 was for fencing and trenching. To clarify another statement, the existing EV chargers at the parking lot do not shut off after 3 hours. Someone would have to literally flip the breaker switch in the caddy shack in order for that to happen. We do encourage users not to abuse the free service, so a 3-hour maximum is posted. Donations are gratefully accepted by users. However, very few people have contributed. According to the parking lot operator, some people do continually abuse the 3-hour maximum, which is in place to allow most people an opportunity to charge their vehicles. There are grants available for EV chargers that require year-round use, and they must be in public spaces. Communities are still required to fund part of these projects if they're successful. June 4th, 2024, Council Meeting Resolution 2024-103, be it resolved to approve exploring the costs of installing 4 new level 2 pay-as-you-go chargers for the EV parking lot. It was carried. You supported this resolution. We will be installing, as I said briefly, 2 new level 2 pay-per-use chargers, not 4 this year. In order to do that, we need to increase the electrical at a significant expense to ensure that the 4 chargers have enough charge to make it reasonable. This is an extra expense and it's work that won't be done this year as it is now going to be too disruptive for the busy parking lot. Also on June 27th, we talked about the 2 pay-as-you-go level 2 chargers. In an email between council, the cost is $7,250 plus taxes and 25 cents a month for cell coverage.
No.
Roughly? No.
Like $25 to $40.
Okay, $25 to $40 a
Per
month
unit.
per unit for cell coverage. They need little chips or whatever.
SIM card.
SIM card. And so those will replace the current 2 chargers that are there, which are still free. So our CAO also advised that there are no grant opportunities at this time. Long applied for one and was rejected because all the funds have been allocated for this year. And EcoWest is also not accepting applications at this time for the same reason. So to say publicly that council is not supporting this is not accurate. To put it out publicly, not even ask council or tell council that you were going to do this publicly, to call for people to come to the council meeting to speak to this matter, knowing there's no delegations coming and that we don't allow question period. I don't understand why it's come to this, that you didn't feel you could come to us first. And we have discussed it many times.
So I'll respond to the first point, which is that I specifically asked each member of council individually if, after long discussions, and we've had multiple, is it that you need me to get the EV owners? And it was even originally proposed to me that that's what I would have to do. And so I started going door to door to get their help with that letter. I realized that there wasn't going to be enough time, and especially the weather, it just basically stopped me because I wasn't going to go out when it was pouring rain. So this was the easiest way that I could do it. We've had multiple conversations in council meetings. I had seen a couple of EV owners, but I hadn't seen the meetings, which is sort of the norm. So this was the easiest way to be able to get everybody's attention. On top of that, we're having a conversation right now about the 2 new chargers. So this means that yes, in fact, they could not ask for a delegation. However, they could still be a part of the meeting and watch the meeting, and we can have the input after the meeting. I've received a couple of emails already from this morning that basically say exactly what I've been saying for the last several years, and that there are EV owners who are choosing to switch to their internal combustion engines to get here because they're leaving their EVs at home because we don't have infrastructure. infrastructure. And they made that point abundantly clear when I was talking to them. So we can say as much as we want that we're being proactive because we've had 2 chargers now for what, 3 years, I think it is?
I think 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, so it's about 3 years, but we've done nothing more. We're saying that we're putting 4 level 2s in, but really that's only 2 more than what we have, and what we have isn't currently enough. As for the time limit, I can attest to the fact that when I've been up there, and I try to go up at, a very late hour, so then that way I can ensure that I can still get to work, that if I don't remember to get up, phone the parking lot and check if there's anybody there, then the charger is suddenly not on. And I check my app and it says that it stopped working at 3 a.m. because I was there at 12. So I can't speak to that, but I'm just saying that the power wasn't on. It's happened several times. So on top of that, we're talking about putting in fines for anybody who stays after the 3-hour period. In the conversations that we've had in emails, we've talked about what do we do and how do we ensure that people stay or people leave after their 3 hours, and we've talked about fines.
We've talked about charging them per minute. That's not a fine. You're still being able to sit there. We're not going to tow you away, but it's to give everyone else the same opportunity that you want, which is to use the charger.
Yeah, absolutely. And that brings me over to my last point in terms of, I have a couple based on what was just said, which is that we are taking a look at this as a city problem rather than a rural municipality problem, a unique municipality problem. We can put all the level 2s that we want in there. Again, 2035, this is effectively mandated for all new cars. We are seeing more and more EVs coming here every single year. And if we had an entire row of level 2s, it would not be enough for what we are going to face. And so as for the cost, what I said in there was not that this is not going to cost the taxpayer a lot of money. What I said is that I have been pushing for this for 6 years to try to limit the expense on the taxpayer. Because if we do this slowly over time, and unfortunately the time for the slow has effectively passed, then we could have mitigated that cost. But more and more frequently, more EVs are coming out for all the major manufacturers, and the speed at which people are undergoing this adoption is faster than most transitions that we've seen globally. So this is happening now, as I've said multiple times, and the level 2s are not appropriate for a community. Do we need level 2s? 100%. We absolutely do, for especially those commuters or the people who are coming up here and need to leave the next morning. But what we really need is a row of level 1s that will take all the pressure off the level 2s, and it'd be substantially less cost to the taxpayer than installing more and more level 2s. Because yes, you do have to put in substantially more infrastructure for those level 2s, but for the level 1s, it's just a standard outlet. So people can come up, they can plug in, they don't have to worry about going over to the level 2s, and then they're not even an issue anymore. So again, all this stuff I've been bringing up in council meetings. Unfortunately, our residents don't pay as close attention to the meetings unless there's something that comes up. So this was my easiest way to get a carrying call to people to say, this is an issue, please pay attention to it. And just one last thing is, as for the grants, there's no grants right now, but again, I've been pushing for this for 6 years. So a lot of those grants, they're only open to level 2s, 2 level 3s that are open 365 days a year. However, if we establish proper dialogues with the provinces and the federal government, those who are actually offering grants, they know of Victoria Beach and our unique community here. So it is entirely possible that we start a proper dialogue with those grant owners, with those grants, and say that, listen, we understand the 365 days a year here. Is there anything that we can do for our community? And if not, then we can try to find other options. But unfortunately, this is coming onto our door right now. And there are people who are having to leave their EVs at home and drive an internal combustion engine to the beach, or switch over, if they already live here, to their internal combustion engine, just so that they can get to work. And that, to me, is completely unacceptable.
Why have you not approached, for instance, Safi Store, Traverse Bay Corner, Waivers? They all sell gas along the highway. They all see a lot of traffic. Maybe they would be willing to install level 3 chargers. Again, it would be their choice to install those chargers. There's no requirement for the RM to install any chargers. There's no requirement for us to install level 1 chargers that are just like a normal plug-in, right? But that would still cost us money. We still need the infrastructure. We still need the extra electrical capacity. We still need to upgrade the panel in the parking lots. And that would give anyone with an EV prime parking because they drive an EV. EVs don't pay for highways. Gas cars pay for highways. I agree that we need to increase our charging stations. I absolutely agree with that. What I don't agree with is that it is mandatory. It is not mandatory. It is not mandatory that I buy an EV. Even in 2035, I don't have to buy an EV. I keep my cars on the road for 20 years, unfortunately. So my gas guzzlers or my little hybrid, which does not plug in, could be going for another 20 years. So yes, there will be more, I agree, but we are not mandated or regulated to do so. And yet we have done so. And we will add more, and I think we should add more.
So all of these objections are almost the exact same objections that we saw over 100 years ago, or just slightly less than 100 years ago when the internal combustion engine came up. So one of the reasons why we have the parking lot is very simple, because we shut down the VRA for 2 cars for 2 months. So the parking lot and the taxi service is our mitigation to be able to allow people to access their property because they can't drive there. If we were to get rid of the taxi service, then we would have a serious problem and possibly a couple of charge challenges on us for some reasons. So regardless as to when the VRA came into effect, and regardless as to when EVs came into effect, because obviously there's a substantial time difference. The fact is that you're right, that in 2035, you will not be mandated to have an EV. But anybody who is buying a new car, not used, a new car, will have to buy an EV or something, or possibly hydrogen or whatever other option that is non-carbon emitting.
Correct.
So we can make the argument, well, maybe everybody's going to buy secondhand cars up until they all break down, and then maybe they all go to the international market so that they don't have to get an EV. Sure, we can try to think hopefully so we don't have to do anything. But the fact of the matter is that people, when the VRA is not in effect, they install their level 2s on their property so that they can charge it at home. When the VRA does come into effect, we remove that right from them.
It's not a right. It is not a right.
It's not a right for them to access their property in their own hydro?
They can access their property. They knew, you knew, we all knew when we bought in the vehicle restricted area that it would be closed to us as residents for our vehicles for 2 months of the year. We knew that. We have a choice what vehicle we drive. And your choice and others is to drive an EV, and I appreciate that. But it is not our mandate. We don't sell gas. They used to sell gas. They got rid of the gas station. We don't sell gas. I have to know where I can get gas if I'm running low. You have to know as an EV owner, and this is not a slight on EV owners. I think they're really neat cars, but you have to know your range. You have to know your limit. You have to know where you can or cannot charge. And you have to, unfortunately, put up with a real lack of infrastructure. And Victoria Beach has provided 2 so far. Hopefully we'll have 4, but I've said enough right now, I think. Sorry.
So just if I can clarify one thing. So council's position is that after 2035, the community will have to make a choice between getting used cars and keeping their internal combustion engines or get the EV.
We'll see who's on council in 2035.
Just a comment. Steve, we're all concerned about the EV situation. Council made a decision a couple of meetings back to buy 4 units. That was a vote, a unanimous vote, I believe. And for you to rehash this, borders on a breach of the code of conduct. Council made a decision. We are all obligated to accept the decisions made by council. And to stir this up again, I think it was not in very good taste. Yeah, at the very least, you should have had some discussion with us. So I'm supportive of improving the level of charging that we have. We're getting 2 new pay-as-you-go, which is very important to me. When I go to buy gas for my car, I don't get free gas. Does anyone in this room get free gas? Well, there's EV operators here who are getting free energy. And that, I struggle with that. You know, when I buy a car, I should know what its capabilities are. And if I have a cabin out here, I should know that I'm gonna have some charging issues. So, you know, judge yourself accordingly. Now, the good news is today the provincial government announced some improvements to support for municipalities to provide infrastructure. Details have not been announced, but it was the minister announced it today, and there's more details to come. So there might be some opportunities coming out of that. But, you know, it's a challenge. You know, obviously we're very concerned about the environment, but at the same time, it has to be done in a fair and balanced way. We can't keep everybody happy without spending an awful lot of money. So, and that's not what we were elected to do. We're to be, you know, stewards of our resources. So I think the step that council has taken, you know, to authorize, you know, purchase of more units is a positive step forward. Let's see how this evolves and go forward. And again, I'll extend my offer to you. Anytime you want to come over to my cabin and charge your car, you're more than welcome to.
And, you know, it's not convenient, I appreciate that. Ian, did you have any comments?
No, I'm gonna pass, thanks.
Okay, thanks. Graham? And then Lon?
No, I have no remarks to make at this time.
Thank you. Lon?
The only thing I was gonna add was that the current panel that is feeding the 240 amp chargers is a 100 amp panel. So our 2 EV chargers are taking up most of it. I don't know how they're not blowing more fuses inside the parking lot. So what's gonna have to happen is that we need to get another line, we have to install another pole, I think we have to get another hydrometer and put in another 200 amp panel, as long as the sufficient load will be able to handle the, and we want to replace the 100 amp panel in the parking to a 200, so there'll be 200 amp panels that we could use. The one that we put in would be a 200 amp panel, and we're thinking that most of the EV chargers that we add possibly next year would go onto that one panel.
Okay.
And I don't know, I've asked for a cost for electrician on that, but I haven't got.
It's an expensive proposition. We've checked it out.
And there are level ones
Yeah.
that can be paid per use.
That's correct, yeah, pay as you go for level ones, yeah.
Which would be different than a level 2 or a level 3 pay per use cost, I would assume, but still, you're gonna be sitting there 24, 48 hours perhaps?
I wouldn't recommend any kind of, like, you just pay per hour for the energy that you're consuming. I guess level ones would be like $1 an hour, and maybe level 2s would be $2 an hour, or something like that. What was I gonna say? Oh, under current legislation, you can't charge by the kilowatt hour, which I thought would be the most reasonable, because you're not supposed to, you can't resell hydro like that. So you have to just pay for the space that you're using for that system, so.
All right, thank you. Sorry, go ahead, Steve.
So I'll just start off with what Erwin had said. So how would you prefer I go around getting all the EV owners to respond? Because I asked each member of council, and I repeated myself in those conversations at least 2 or 3 times to confirm that you wanted me to go find the EV owners to get their response. Would you prefer that I sit at the parking lot for several days and ensure that I asked them to contact council if they had any concerns? Or would a mass letter be more effective that would have gone to most people in the VRA?
I appreciate your concern, and I was the counselor that challenged you to drum up some interest. To date, I don't think anyone other than yourself have received any comments or emails about EV cars. You know, I think we needed some evidence, hard evidence, that there was a desire amongst EV car owners to increase our charging capacity. Again, I think it might have been just a courtesy to council to say, well, maybe I should talk with some of the community groups. That might have inappropriate in my view.
Okay, so then to that point, since I got on council, and Graham has backed me on this, I've been asking for a survey so that we could address issues specifically like this one. That has never happened. In fact, it's been voted down in private multiple times when we've brought it up. So would that have been a more appropriate route? But my point is that I've been trying to do what I could. This was the easiest and fastest way that I could contact as many people as possible. So now that call has gone out, and now we might actually be able to get a response, because the several people who I have talked to said that they thought council was on top of this. Why? Because I've installed 2 level 2s. And when we did that, we sent a fairly clear signal out to the community that we would be looking at putting in proper infrastructure for EV owners. Had we never put in those 2 level 2s, 100%, absolutely. It'd be up to them to say caveat emptor. You didn't know, really you should have known that there weren't any charges, but we put them in there.
And if they're available, you can use them.
Good. So we said to people that we are looking at putting in proper infrastructure. Not inadvertently, but it wasn't directly, but we still put them in, signaling that we were going to be taking this seriously. But we've had 2 for 3 years.
And we're putting in 2 more in the fall.
After a lot of pressure. But again,
Pressure from you, Steve.
Yes.
Pressure from no one else. The parking lot has not received any complaints other than one.
and again, the reason is because they thought that we were on top of this. So now the call's gone out. I had direction from council, from every member of council, to say, ensure that the EV owners know that if they have concerns to contact council. I've done that. I did exactly what you asked. It may not have been in the exact proper format. Perhaps I should have gone door to door without a letter, but I did. I did exactly what you asked. So you're upset over what I asked multiple times. Are you sure that this is what you want me to do to contact all the EV owners? I've done that.
I'm more upset over the fact that you didn't consult council before putting this on the VBCOA Facebook page, which frankly, not everybody receives. I'm annoyed.
Morris, can we limit the debate, and I look forward
I
to
agree,
hearing,
but-
I look forward to hearing from the community and determine whether or not this is a issue that is of concern to more than Councillor Maxwell.
All right, Steve, are you all right with that?
I am. I've done that. I just want to address a couple of things since you addressed a couple of things to me.
Okay,
Sure.
time to move on, please.
Let me just make a quick point. You're saying that certainly you're the one that's hard selling this issue. You have been, as you said, for 6 years. As Erwin pointed out, and as Penny pointed out, we've never heard anyone else complain about this except you. So you're the one putting the pressure on it. You're the one that's talking about it. We're trying to do something here. It's gonna be a process. You just have to accept that fact. Okay? I don't understand why you have to go out door to door and send letters out to people to get them to be aware of the situation. If it's a problem for them, they should come forward. They should send an email to us. They should call us. Why do you have to go out and sell it to everybody else?
Because you
Just
asked,
because,
Ian,
no, just
you
because you
specifically asked me to go
Okay.
get
No,
EV
no,
owners.
it's because you want it. You're the one that wants this, and I don't see why taxpayers should pay for a service for you.
Okay, so, really, no, I want to be clear, because that's 2 times you guys have made that accusation. I have said since day one that we needed to establish a proper pay system for the level 2s. When we got those two level 2s, the very first thing I said, which is we should not be purchasing these level 2s, A, because they're not pay-as-you-go, which means that the cost is going to come back down on the taxpayer. The second thing is they said it wasn't appropriate because there was only 1 outlet per unit. I said that when we got them. So this whole thing that you're trying to pin on me, that this is actually going to cost the taxpayer and I'm trying to put a cost on it, it's just not true. It's not accurate. We can have a proper conversation. If you want, we can go back to the emails from, I guess, from 4 or 5 years ago and I can find those for you. But I'm telling you, that is what I said multiple times.
This
For
is
those
your
of
issue,
us-
Steve. This is something that you want. You're the one that's been promoting this. You're the one that's doing the hard sell on this, and it's for your benefit.
See, a lot
If
of,
it's
But
for
it is-
somebody else's benefit,
So,
they'll come to council.
why would it be for my benefit, Ian, if I put it forward 6 years ago and I didn't get an EV until last year? And what I found out last year is that our infrastructure isn't remotely close to what it needs to be. I've been trying to push this because it is clear that this is what is going to happen. The federal government has said that in 2035 there will be.
Okay, all right, gentlemen, okay, we're going around in circles, we've heard this several times.
Yes.
Sorry, there's one more thing. It was actually Mayor
Actually, Mayor
McMorris.
said it's over.
No,
so
it was
let's
Mayor
just-
McMorris who said finally that we would put those two level twos in.
Right.
But again, I specifically said, what we need is pay as you go. That is what I said. So stop trying to make this about me, because I try to be proactive for the community.
Okay, enough,
It is.
enough.
I agree.
Time out.
Let's move on.
All right, very interesting discussion. Thank you, Steve. All right, let's move on, please. Fire hall project status. So, as most members of the community know, I hope, we received a very large grant for a new fire hall and a new fire truck. The $1,850,500 will not cover all of it, for sure. So we have a resolution that our CAO is proposing to form a subcommittee for this project so that we can better manage it, make sure it doesn't get out of control financially, and to help us make some decisions on how we move forward. So Lon, would you be willing to read out what you have written, please, because it's not in our package?
Sure.
Thank you.
Be it resolved to establish a fire hall subcommittee whose purpose is to provide advice and recommendation to council on matters pertaining to the new fire hall construction, new fire truck purchase, and current fire hall renovations. Further be it resolved to appoint Ian Chadsey, Graham Randall, and I do not have a third member in this resolution, but I.
Oh, yes. You have Ian, you have Irwin.
Irwin.
Yep,
Okay, I'll put that. And that would be the resolution.
that's us. And we hope to meet later this week. Am I right, Ian?
Yes.
Okay, thank you for that.
May I have a mover? Ian, thank you. Second. Steve, thank you. All right, so council has received some bids or proposals from architectural firms, right? For architectural and engineering service proposals for the new design, construction, and completion. This is for the residents of a 7,430 square feet, 7-bay fire hall. Also included in the project is a renovation of the existing 3,950 square foot fire hall for larger police space and some administrative space. So 3 members of council may form a subcommittee working on this project as we move forward. We have some drawings some draft drawings, and I originally said 7-bay as well. But when you look at the equipment we have and the equipment that we will have, it makes a lot more sense than I originally thought. So any further discussion on this resolution?
Ian has,
Hang
I'm
on,
sorry.
go ahead, Greg. Go ahead.
me?
Yes, please.
Ian has already provided some background information to Irwin and I to consider in our deliberation as to how we handle these bids, how we evaluate them, leading to firm recommendations to council, which should happen in the next few weeks, I would guess, or maybe a little longer. But thanks to Ian for providing us with additional data.
I think what we're going to try and do is put a bit of a business plan together, just to take a look at what the objectives are for the different departments, review the proposals that we received from the architect, and then just compare that to what the department requirements are, and then try to get good estimates on what the cost will be for all of these items, plus the fire truck, and then take a look at the budget and then see if this all makes sense and bring it back to council, and we can have a good discussion on all the components just to see if we can do the whole thing all at once, or if we have to do it in pieces. We'll see what happens.
Okay, we do have 3 years as well to,
Exactly.
this is not going to be a 1-year project. This will be at least a 3-year project.
Exactly.
That's right. And Ian, if you were, I assume you agree, we were going to try and put a cap on the total budget as well. Is that not right?
Yes, I think it makes a lot of sense to at least start with
I
a
figured,
budget, a figure, and then assume there's going to be a little wiggle room in there because things don't always come in on budget, so.
that's
we gotta
good.
find-
Thank you for that.
Just at the end of the day, we need to figure out whether we can afford what's being proposed.
Yes, we might have to scale it back, but that's up to us to try and navigate.
Just a minute, or Graham, just a minute, please.
You know, it's great to have all these facilities. At the end of the day, I just want to find out whether we can afford it.
Right.
Right.
Steve, did you have any comments?
I just wanted to say two things. The first is still not sure that we need 7. Like, I would say 6 at the most from what I've seen, but again, we're not absolutely deciding that it has to be 7 right now. The other thing is that, for those who haven't seen it, the police will also be getting a section inside of the fire hall, so it'll sort of have two purposes, but also alleviate some of the concerns that have kind of come up from our lack of infrastructure for the police, not toys and cars and everything else like that, but actual like infrastructure like the police building itself.
Right.
Mhm.
Okay. Any other comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Carried, thank you. All right, we'll move on to the new garbage truck. And the new garbage truck did arrive on Friday. And I've never seen so many residents so excited to see a new garbage truck.
I was.
It is on the avenues. It started its first run on Monday, and it was in my neck of the woods today, and it will be in the rest of the municipality on Wednesday, and, everybody seems happy. Public Works is happy.
I just want to thank you to Trevor Halgren for doing so much work. He called around to suppliers from BC to Montreal to PEI. He tried to find something we could lease, rent to own. He just kept his nose to the grindstone, and he found this truck here, which was exactly kind of what we wanted. So big thanks to him for doing all that groundwork.
Much
Are they
appreciated.
gonna get some deckling on it to
Exactly.
show daily?
I think that's minor at this point.
It's bright, shiny black, it looks great.
The
Came by
back is-
my place at 8:30 on Monday morning.
I saw it before it had its first stinky load in it, and then it went and got its first stinky load, and I went, oh yeah, it's a garbage truck. So, no, it's nice to have that here. Thank you. 2 billion trees update. The trees did arrive very late in the afternoon, around 3:30 on June 27th, last Thursday. Public Works came and helped to dig the holes, and they also delivered some soil. Watering hoses have been installed, and volunteers will be watering the trees regularly. Mother Nature has been very helpful, too helpful, until they're well established this summer. We are very aware that there was some opposition to this project, and we do appreciate that those who use this public field for activities are still able to do so. I noticed there is a volleyball net up there now. So they can still enjoy the field and respect and protect the newly planted trees. They were also concerned, some in opposition, about sightlines for vehicles and truck route. There is a 20-kilometer speed limit on these roads. Yes, not everybody goes 20. That can be on a bike or a truck. The trees were planted in the higher part of the area, away from the road on 8th Avenue and on Gibson. And there is still room in the middle of the open space for games and activities and get-togethers. So I would like to thank Sean Taylor and some members of the BBCOA for being out there with their shovels and rakes and spades. And it was a very hard afternoon. I was there as well.
For next year, I would like to see this expanded, but I think it was fairly clear as to why we needed the spade attachment, the Bobcat spade attachment, because had there been it would have been substantially faster with much less issue. The other thing is we also really need to pay attention to best planting practices because myself and Blake, we had to go around all the trees and lift them up. Because the bottom nodule just above the roots was covered, so had we not done that, then they wouldn't survive. So, yeah, in the future, we just need to be very careful and pay attention to the plan that's sent out.
They didn't tell us how to plant the trees, but when they were here, they met with Dane from Public Works, myself, and Sean Taylor, and they said, you know, dig the hole, plant the tree, you know, need extra dirt. You know, there's different schools of thought on that. We did try when we were first planting them to bring them up higher. Didn't always work, so thanks for going back and fixing that. The volunteers didn't materialize. There were maybe 7 of us, not 25 or whatever. And the ground is very hard. So I'm glad Public Works was there, but yes, the holes were unfortunately very large and hard to fill in, but we got it done, so thank you. All right, we're going to move on to new business. We agreed to table the 2023 audited financial statements. All right. Move on to correspondence, information, and announcements. The EOC exercise is being held here on Thursday, July 11th from 1 to 4 p.m. It is a tabletop exercise for council, police, CAO, CSO, PW, I'm just going to throw a bunch of letters now, Public Works, and some residents. And so far, I've had great response. I've got 5 or 6 residents who are willing to join in. I'm not sure how many more we do really need. Brad, our fire chief, doesn't think we need as many as I do. So I'll check with Shelley Napier, who's going to be leading the tabletop exercise. But if you do want to participate, please come and see me or send me an email at pmcmorris@victoriabeach.ca, and I will be happy to sign you up if we still need you. Anything from other council members on correspondence, info, or announcements? Graham?
Just to announce that Penny and I were able to attend the Wansing Cottage Owners Association annual general meeting a few days ago. It was certainly very successful with a good turnout. And once again, the Cottage Owners Association has extended its thanks to council and in particular our Public Works group for their support in making improvements to the Ed Randall Park facility. It was actually followed up by a modest ribbon cutting ceremony. So it was a good day all around for council and for the Wansing Beach group. They've got their annual corn roast and barbecue picnic coming up in September. We'll provide more information on that to come. And thank you to Penny for attending.
Thank you, Graham. Erwin?
I just wanted to offer my compliments to Mark Pritchard and her group of volunteers who've been working diligently at the Scotts Point clearing out a lot of deadfall. They've engaged the services of a qualified arborist who's advising on what trees can and cannot be removed. I think it was just I walked through that area at length a week ago Sunday, and I was really impressed with the community involvement. It was very encouraging to see that. And there's still more work to be done, but they've made a great start on, turning that area into a much safer not fireproof, but hopefully fireproof for the time. Well done, Barb and your group of volunteers.
Something that we have to be wary of and make a plan for. I'll need to talk to Public Works about moving the outside trail in because if you're on the beach looking up at Scott Point, it's very scary. It's quite overhung in some areas, and
There's areas of the trail that could easily collapse. There's areas of the trail that are really close to the edge. So the plan is to move the pathway in a little bit, put some wood chips down, and provide a safe walking back.
okay, sorry, Steve, go ahead.
Just one thing, can we not put one chips down, please? Because it makes when you're walking over a trail very soggy when it's been, raining nonstop for the entire summer. So Yeah, it's not really necessary to have the wood chips there unless there's something that I'm missing as to why that's in the plans.
Well, one of the thoughts was that it's a good visual. It provides a visual for people to follow the trail. The other thing is there's a lot of wood chips. So it's something sort of positive to do with the wood chips.
I know somewhere on Gibson, which would, you know, need it, so.
When I walked that, week ago Sunday, and we did walk over part of the pathway that had put wood chips down, and goodness knows it's been wet. It seemed to be, wasn't terribly soggy to walk.
Okay, we'll see.
We got lots of them.
Yeah, I know.
I just want to say thank you to the community, when it comes to the understanding about, all the work that's been done on Scotts Point. Last year, there were a lot of people who were really concerned about it. And certainly how much work had to be done on there, I think took a lot of people, certainly myself, by surprise. I was shocked, when I went down. It's one thing when you're walking from Alexandra over to, Patricia, and it's like, oh, okay, this is good. And you come around your corner and you're like, oh my God, or if you're going the other way. But I think that people really understand that it was dead, diseased, or invasive plants that were being taken out. So like, I was very surprised that we didn't, we weren't blasted. So yeah, I just want to thank the community for their understanding.
If you walk that area, you will see piles of dead wood stacked, and it is the plan to eventually get those moved out. But, it's an organizational structure, challenge to get equipment in there, and they're trying to minimize the impact on the environment.
All right. Thank you. All right, hearing nothing further, I will move on to adjourn. Be it resolved, the July 2nd, 2024 regular council meeting be adjourned, and the next meeting scheduled for Tuesday, July 16th, 2024 at 7 p.m. here in Victoria Beach and here at the East Beaches Social Scene. And I have a mover. Ian, thank you. Graham, second. Thank you. All those in favor? Carried.
And thank you all for coming out.
Yes, thank you.